Hi, folks. It's Jim from New Hampshire Card Hunters, and we got a brand new video for you today. I want to welcome everybody back. We're going to be, as we open up this video, we're going to be opening up some of these bad boys right here. We got 6 of them, 2022 Topps Heritage hanger boxes, and we'll open up 3 on the front half. We'll be opening up 3 on the back half. Back third, I should say, of the video, and in the middle we'll have our always popular, always different on the docket. And in today's version, we'll be talking about the current turmoil at PSA. We'll also give you a backstory on them. So that'll be in the middle, so stay tuned for that. And we'll give you a quick rundown here on the 2022 Topps Heritage. We'll give you the rookies and so on in just a second. Want to welcome in the First Lady of Baseball with us, Michelle. She'll be along for the ride. So again, welcome everybody back, and let's get right into this. Just give me 1 second here. We'll take a swing over to the checklist and take a look at that. Okay. All right. So, as I said before, this is 2022 Topps Heritage. It's a 500 card set. The last 100 are short prints. And I'm sure you guys have seen this before, but we'll give you a quick rundown. What to look for will be there'll be short prints in here. They run about 1 in every 3 packs, I guess, according to the information from Beckett here. And there's also different variations. We've got the black borders, which are numbered to 50 copies. I don't know if they're numbered or not in this, but they're limited to 50 copies. And then there's flip stock. They're limited to 5. We've also got nickname variations, scarce throwback uniform variations, and other types of variations. Heritage changes it up all the time, so it's always a little bit different from year to year. There's also we also have the chrome cards in here, which come in red, silver, black, and gold, and 573, 373, 73, and 5. Also superfractors, so that's something to be aware of. We also got the Heritage Real One autographs, which come in both red and blue. The reds are numbered to 73. There are duals as well. I think those only come in the, let's see here, I think those only come in the hobby boxes, but the duals are numbered to 25, triples are numbered to 5. We also have Clubhouse Collection relics, and some of these are numbered. The duals are numbered to 73, triples to 25 again, and relics to 10. They also have patch, I guess, patch 101 parallels of their own, so that's interesting. And autograph relics, those are also a possibility, but not for us because those are exclusive only in the hobbies. And flashback relics. We also have the top players, the rookies, and also the retired players in this particular setup. And there's also the currency, I guess that's what you would call them, the currency cards. They come in nickel, dime, quarter, and half dollar. And there's also stamp relics too, 1973 U.S. postage stamps relic. So we'll be on the lookout for those. I'm not sure. I know they come in some retail. I think they come in the mega boxes, but I'm not 100% sure. And so the other inserts here are the New Age performers. We've got Then and Now, and news flashbacks, as well as baseball flashbacks highlight. So we'll see a few of those, I'm sure, in or 1 or 2 anyway, in in the hanger boxes. And like I said before, there's 500 total cards, and the last 100 are short print. And just a quick rundown of the rookies here. We're not going to scroll down the list too much, but we got TJ Friedel, guys to look for, O'Neal Cruz, Brandon Marsh, Jaron Duran, Griffin Jacks, Cal Raleigh, Joe Ryan, and Luis Heel. Now, there are others, but those are the main guys. So, with that, let's swing on back and get started here. All right, let's transition back, and here we go. We're back to snuff here. All right, let's get things rolling here. Move a few of these aside. 3 on the front half, folks, and 3 on the back half. Here we go. So we just got done watching the Seattle Mariners Detroit Tigers game, and Seattle ended up winning that game 4-zip. Bryce Miller threw a nice game. He looked great today, huh, Michelle?
Yeah, he did. You know, we were noticing the difference between the how calm and chill and laid back the announcers for Detroit are, and how it really makes the game more enjoyable to watch. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. They're not, just ripping on people or whatever. They're just watching the game.
I don't know.
It was fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a little refreshing, and we've got Lou Maloney and Dave O'Brien and for the Red Sox, and those guys are. I mean, I like Dave O'Brien, but sometimes they get a little too heavy-handed with their criticisms, whether it's deserved or undeserved. I just think it bothers me.
Yeah, well, and they, as he's opening up this first package there, they tend to get so emotionally invested in the game that it takes away from our watching the game, really. It's like, how many times do you have to say, enough, Lou? All right, you said that 15 times, or whatever, It was just refreshing. The Detroit guys got it right. They're so chill and relaxed.
Talking about fishing and
oh yeah, I mean, in between at bats, they talk about other stuff. They don't stop ripping the team or whatever. And their team was losing. Did you hear them be overly negative? And at the end of the game, they were like, well, you got to tip your hat to Miller. He pitched a really great game, and you're going to run into that in baseball. We got to move on, win the next game.
Yeah,
boom. I mean, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's straightforward. Well, I would call it journalism, but announcing. I mean,
yeah.
to kind of mediate the way that you call a game, so you're not like, too high or too low. You're right in the middle.
Just right, steady Eddie. It
was
good.
It's too bad. All right, first card here. We're opening this up in the Heritage. Got Steven Strasburg, David Peralta, Matt Verling, Brandon Belt, Rafael Devers, and there's a World Series Game 5. We got Adam Duvall, its first inning grand slam. It's good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Gilbert.
Talk about a student of hitting.
Oh yeah. Luis Castillo. Harper. I know. Jerickson Profar, Conforto, Bobby Bradley, and Lance Lynn. It's hard to believe that Lance Lynn's are already out of baseball again. I mean, he was so good for a while, and then he bounced around, and he was a solid starter, and now all of a sudden he's gone. Gary Sanchez, he's still around though. He's playing with Milwaukee. Rowdy Tellez, another Milwaukee boy, and Yandy Diaz, and Matt Chapman, Tucker Barnhart, Jonathan India, Brett Gardner, Nathan Eovaldi, and Adam Benintendi. We'll see what we got coming up here, if anything. Ahmad Rosario. Saw him last night for the Yanks.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Longoria, Mark Melanson, and Ryan Zimmerman. Jose Siri, New Age Performers. So it doesn't look like we're going to get too much out of this one.
Yeah.
Jed Lowry, Jacob Stallings. Where's all the rookies, Dad? Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Peralta,
Kind of Filippo.
Kind of Falefa,
IKF.
Jordan Luplow, and Yuri Gurriel, and finally Alcides Escobar. So not much in that one, but we got 2 more here, and then like I said, we got 3 more on the back end. Yeah, I mean, we watched the game last night, and it was amazing that how long they went on about Bale. Oh my God!
I know. He's been sent down. You ripped him over and over and over while he was up there, and you're still talking about him. Meanwhile, we've got another game going on. Like, really, guys?
Well, and I don't think that their criticism, the way that they laid it out, was really warranted. When it comes to Bayo, I mean, if anybody, I don't know if anybody watched the game, but when he was in that game, the defense completely let him down. There were 2 plays that were, I would say, questionable. They should have had the man at third, and then the whole mess up between Bayo and Wilson Contreras at first base, and it just, and there were two like Texas Leaguer type hits that really added on to the trouble that Bayo got in, and it's just unfortunate that none of these guys, whether it was after the game or before the game, when they were doing the pregame lead-in, or the announcers themselves, really pointed any of that stuff out. I mean, I just felt like it was just they were out to get him, and they'd had enough and they'd seen enough, and so they said, well, good riddance, basically. So
I mean, some of the stuff they were saying was just plain outright wrong. Like, after the first inning, he settled in and pitched a very good game.
sure did.
But that's not what they said,
No.
and it's like, well, he can't even get out of the first 3 or 4 innings. And, it's like, wait a minute. He had one rough inning.
Yep.
And let's get this clear, okay? Yeah, he needs to work on things.
Right.
We're not trying to sugarcoat it, whatever. But if you're going to rip on somebody, at least use facts.
Right.
Will Fleming, I don't know who he's going to choose as his next scapegoat, because everything was always Bayo's fault. So, he's going to have to come up with a new act.
I just found it amazing that you had to listen to it, and they didn't point out that in most of Bayo's starts, when they had an opener for him in the first inning, he was great. I mean, the start before this, he pitched like 7 innings of four hit baseball, and now that, and look, I'm not a big fan. I'm getting to be less of a fan of our general manager, right? Because I mean, they had him on there, and they were saying, well, it was a tough decision, but he took it pretty well. I mean, come on, it's a cop out, And look, we've got guys on our team right now, and I can point out a couple right off the bat that really aren't doing anything yet. They're still here, right? Durbin's one of them.
He got a lot of leeway. I mean,
A lot of leeway.
Granted, he's starting to pick it up now.
Right.
But he was graced with a lot more leeway.
Oh my God.
A lot more leeway. So, it's, and Wilyer Abreu, come on now. He looks so lost some at bats and so good other at bats. Why can't he be consistent?
Well, what about Marcelo Meyer? What about
he's not doing anything.
I mean, you could almost you can single him out a little bit, and there's other guys on that team. I mean, Carlos Narvaez, he's another guy, right? I don't see them sending them down. They got 3 catches.
I know. Mickey Gasper's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, back to the Open.
Yeah. Here we go. Second banger or hanger. I hope it's a banger.
I hope we're banging.
Luzardo. We got Edmundo Sosa, Matt Barnes, Nico Horner, and another World Series card here. Swanson's Blast in the 7th. Santillan, Dallas Keuchel, Framber Valdez, Nick Ahmed. Landscape card here, Randall Grichuk, followed by Ty France, John Means. He's a guy who just can't stay healthy at all. He's a good pitcher when he was around. He's still recovering. Brett Phillips and Seth Brown, Jose Abreu, retired, Tyler Mahle, and AJ Pollock, Walker Bueller, Jan Gomes, Aaron Nola, J.P. Crawford, Julio Arias, Alex Kiloff. Oh, we got something upside down, Dad. What do we got here? What's this all about? Let's see what we got
Let's
here.
see.
Is this anything? No, just it's
Okay.
all-time leaders. Yeah, yeah. These Tris Speaker, doubles leaders.
Hmm.
He's a great player when he played for the Red Sox. I'll tell you that. And a flashback: London Bridge opens.
Huh. Funny.
Michael Conforto, Bobby Bradley, Lance Lynn, Gary Sanchez, Rowdy Tellez. I think that doubles card is was just a short print. Yandy Diaz and the last two, Matt Chapman and Tucker Barnhart. Let's go back to this for a second. Yeah, 476. 476. So it's a short print. They're not that rare, but you know, it is what it is. All right.
So don't hesitate if you don't like our commentary on Bayo and you disagree or whatever. Feel free to leave a comment. We do like, discussion. We do like differing opinions. I mean, Jim and I don't always agree on stuff. We have, I'm always leaning on the side of let's play a little more small ball, guys, and Jim's like, well, not in this situation. And I'm like, yeah, but it would catch him off guard. And we haven't been doing anything. So, we go back and forth too. And you're always welcome to leave a comment if you feel differently about what we've been talking about. Always feel free to leave a comment,
Well, I just want to point out too, and I usually say it at the beginning of the video, but I'll say it again. If you watch any of our videos, you already know this, but everything you see here, every card that we open, every box we open, every package we open, every pack that we open, we give it all away. All of it. Every card, no matter what it is. Autograph, superfracted, does not matter. Relic, anything. And all you have to do is just leave a comment in the comment section with the word drawing. And once we get 10 people that are interested in any particular opening that we have in our videos, once we get 10, then I'll just I don't know, put them on one of those spin a wheel things, and then put the 10 names in there, and we'll draw out a couple of winners. In this particular one, there's 230 cards total in the 6 hangers, so there'll be 2 winners. And what we'll do is we'll divvy them up depending on how many hits we get evenly, and our investment is your game. So keep that in mind. All right, first card here in our 3rd hanger. Michael Pineda, Chaz McCormick rookie, and Colin Moran, and Tatis. We've got active home run leaders: Pujols, Miguel Cabrera,
Miggy.
and Nelson Cruz. Yeah, 670, 679. I don't remember how many Pujols has got. I think he's up around 700 maybe. I don't know that he ended up with. I had to look at that. Jake Cousins, Austin Hayes. Saves leaders: Melanson and Liam Hendricks. Cal Raleigh rookie. There we go. There's one.
Go.
Followed by Seth Beer rookie.
Look at that.
Yeah. Martin Maldonado and Will Smith. Carlos Rodon. Michael Taylor. Mike Zanuno. Willie Adames. Christian Javier. Sean Murphy. Shane Bieber. Mookie Betts. Tyler Anderson. Manuel Rodriguez. Where is he now? Kevin Pillar, Austin Riley, Lurie Garcia, Emmanuel Rivera, and there's a flashbacks card. And Willie Mays hits 660. Yeah, hell of a player. That was in his twilight right there with the Mets. Brandon Marsh, rookie. Set that one aside. Tyler Wade, Alex Bregman, Brendan Rodgers, Ronnie Dawson, and Justin Upton, Jose Ramirez, and Nick Pavetta on the last one there. So, yeah, we really didn't do a whole lot in those first three, but
A couple of good rookies.
but we've got three more on the back end. Now we're going to get into our middle segment here, which we call On the Docket. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of scuttlebutt on PSA and the current status of what's going on there with their grading situation. So we thought, well, I was working on this for a while, but it just so happens that everything's come to a head just at the time we're getting ready to do this video. So I updated everything as I went. And we're going to take a look at the history of this company as well as the current situation, and we'll give you our thoughts at the end. So let's get this underway. So let's see here. Let me just go here first and do that. Okay. Let's see. All right. And we'll start this transition in, and we'll get this
baby started.
Get this baby started. Let's start the slideshow. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's give you the backstory first on PSA, just so everybody has an understanding. If you didn't really know that much about the company, we'll give you a little bit of a background. PSA was founded in July 1991 by David Hall, and if you don't know who David Hall is currently running an eBay store, and it's called Hall of Fame Exchange. And he's a classic high-end collector. He had a really nice T206 set that he put up for auction a while back. And he's also into, well, he also had coins and as well as cards. But yeah, he's quite a collector. And it goes on to say that they did PCSG as a third party sports card grader. From the start, the business struggled because of limited demand from collectors. Some sports card dealers were initially opposed to having the idea of having a third party grade their cards and refused the card grading services. That shows you how much things have changed. However, the market shifted in part due to the prevalence of dishonesty at trade shows, which that's going on all the time, which caused some buyers to feel uncomfortable with purchases because of the risk of being sold counterfeit items, which makes sense. PSA grew further in popularity during the dot-com boom, where eBay established itself as an online auction site. And this enabled more people to get into the hobby of buying and selling sports cards, and having a card graded with third party helped ensure the legitimacy of cards listed by third party eBay sellers, which that is nice. You can buy it sight unseen, and that you're getting, assuming that the case isn't tampered with. That's a good thing. It also allowed potential buyers to get a sense of the card's popularity, which was not always apparent from the often low resolution images in listings, which I agree. A lot of people didn't, well, back in 2000, right? They didn't have high resolution. A lot of people didn't use high resolution scanners and that type of thing, and so And now what I see a lot of people doing is they use their phones to take pictures, which it takes a pretty good picture, but it's not nearly the same as high resolution um, scanners and what they'll do. So continued more about the company in November 2020. It was announced that Collectors Universe would be taken private in a 700 million all-cash buyout by hedge fund manager Steve Cohen. And everybody, if you don't know who Steve Cohen is, he's the owner of the New York Mets, D1 Capital Partners, and collector Nat Turner in the first quarter of 2021. Among the reasons for the purchase was increased interest in the collecting by consumers during the COVID pandemic. Makes sense. And Nat Turner is a venture capitalist, basically, and he's got his fingers in a lot of different areas, but particularly in sports cards right now. But he's also been in like I think things like um, medical type of ventures. Medical. I can't remember if it was medical. Uh,
Research.
could have been something
Yeah.
like that. It was something along those lines. Anyway, in 2023, collectors acquired well SGC, expanding their presence in the sports cards grading market. Financial terms of the transaction were not publicly disclosed. Following the acquisition, CSG's sports card grading operation integrated into PSA, while its non-sports grading business continued under separate branding. And then in 2025, you can see where we're going here. Collectors acquired Beckett, a longtime competitor of PSA in the card grading and authentication industry. Financial terms of the acquisition, again, were not disclosed. Beckett continues to operate as an independent brand with collectors with no immediate changes to pricing or operations. The acquisition includes Beckett's comic book certification service, while Southern Hobby Distribution and Dragon Shield were excluded from the deal. And then, as of one final note, as of 2024, Beckett ranks third in market share among card grading companies behind PSA and CGC. That was not always the case. Beckett was a pretty big player in the game for quite some time, and then they kind of fell off because of, I think, partially because of management, partially because of direction. Um, but despite its smaller market share, Beckett is noted for its stringent grading standards, half grades, and not only half grades, but giving you the individual grades for like the corners and the surface and that type of thing. People like that. Beckett is noted for its stringent grading standards, right, and an established reputation in the authentication sector. All right. So there you go. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about, just briefly, about where PSA came from, how they evolved, and what their mindset was. And you can see as we get into this that they've basically turned themselves into like a Fanatics, a monopoly. They bought the two other grading companies. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe, I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there. Maybe it's because they were worried about someone like Fanatics coming along and buying up either one or both of those companies, or maybe it was because they were worried about somebody else coming into that space and maybe trying to, um, I would say, take some market share away from PSA, which is a little puzzling to me because if you're the number one grader in the game and somebody is out there trying to compete with you, well, if they want to compete with you, all you have to do is make yourself better as a grader. Do all those little things. Do do the extra level of customer appreciation and customer engagement, and do whatever it takes to stay up the top. And I'm not quite sure that PSA has done that, but we'll talk about some of the key policy changes here that they've just made. And as you look at this slide, you'll see that these are just recently announced price changes and policy changes at PSA. And the bulk minimum doubled. Value bulk is now uh, no longer 25 cards. It's 50 card minimum at $24.99 per card versus the 19. Well, actually, it's more than doubled. Actually, if you look at that, $19.99 for 20 cards, making the cheapest bulk submission start at $1,250 shipping and before shipping and insurance. And then entry level cost raised. Value bulks old was $21.99. That's gone to $24.99. Value rose from $27.99 to $32.99. Value plus is $44.99 to $49.99. And finally, regular $74.99 to $79.99. And they also extended turnaround times. All tiers now have slower estimated returns from 5 to 7 days for walkthrough, which, hell, I just do that, right? If you lived up in that area, to to 140 to 160 days for value bulk. No standalone TCG bulk. PSA now combines TCG and sports grading under one bulk tier. And then some of the things that they're looking to do here is stricter grading standards. Surface tolerances are tighter, slowing the production of PSA 10s. Now, just a thought here. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Just a thought here, but if you know that, let's say you're in a tough economy and you understand that money matters to people, discretionary income matters to people, why in God's name would you take away the most reasonable option for people to submit cards? Even if you want to, let's say, even if you want to keep it at $24.99, why wouldn't you still allow like a 20 card minimum to be? Because now you're basically telling somebody, unless you want to pay $1,250, let's say you're just a solo person that wants to, solo collector that wants to, submit 20 cards or even 50 cards. Now you're forced to pay $1,250, and that's a big chunk of change for, I would say, 85% of the general public out there. That would be my take, Michelle.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't understand it. I just don't. We're going to get into this a little bit further, folks, but right here, this just reeks of like, all we want to do is cater to the really rich people. All we want to do is cater to the more affluent people. And if you're just a regular old, yeah, thanks for all the submissions that you've done in the last like 20 years. But guess what? We're gonna bump everything. We're gonna make it
It's
hurt.
only a $3 more bump per card. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. And they're looking at it, and it's it's only $3 more. It's only $5 more there.
it's hard to
$5 more there.
qualify.
But you know what? $5 more. That's a tank of gas now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just silly. It's just silly. And the turnaround times are like
140 to 160
from
days.
5 to 7 days.
I mean, and like,
okay, if that's for the walkthrough,
right.
I get it.
Right. And this is before they actually announced the news that they were shutting down, which we're going to get to in a minute. But I mean,
if the turnaround has to be that long, you need to be hiring more people.
Right. We're gonna get into that in the
Anyway,
in the next slide. Yeah. No, I mean, no, it's a really good point. They're all really good points, and I think anybody who submits to PSA is going to be, is going to be a little angry about this. I would be. I don't submit to PSA anymore, but because I just don't. First of all, I don't have enough stuff. I have some cracked slabs that I have over the years that have arrived to me that that I'm stuck with. I'd like to rehold of those, but at 25 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, All right, I'm going to stop right there. We're going to keep
Yeah,
going
because this
here.
could make it very lengthy.
Right. Okay, so here's the reasoning. Here's the reasoning behind the the jump, at least according to Ryan Hoge. He says in 2021, PSA was grading between 15,000 to 18,000 cards a day. Now in 2026, they are now grading 90,000 to 100,000 per day. Demand is outpacing capacity, according to President Ryan Hoge. He went on to say that the two biggest adjustment levers were price and turnaround times. And turnaround times have already been extended, so they increased the price to slow demand. Okay,
How stupid a business model
what
is that?
idiot?
That's just, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We've got too much business, so we got to slow it down by increasing the price to force less people to want to do this.
When I heard him say
What
this,
the heck?
when I heard him say that, I looked at you. I said, "What the hell?" Because you said these are the two biggest levers. I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just hire some people?
Yeah.
Why don't you just expand capacity? Why don't you do the things that are right in front of you that like that slapping you in the face? I mean, look,
Seems
they
backwards to
they
me.
butchered this. They butchered this whole thing, and then they got caught with with this, I guess, TCG, just surge of a lot of the non-sports cards um, coming into there. Not and it's not just them. CGC, all of them are having trouble. But I find it almost stunning to listen to a guy like Ryan Hoge go on and say, "Well, these are the only two, or these are the main two adjustment levels we have." What? What are you talking about?
They might be the two adjustment levers, but you're leveling them in the wrong direction. You got so much more volume coming in. So do you need to increase the price?
I just,
Or
yeah,
I don't
I
get
just
it.
find it, I
I
just
don't
find
get
it,
it.
I just find it, this,
I'd love to hear his reasoning behind that, but I'm
yeah,
sure I wouldn't understand it.
this is
So,
just a poor, this is just a poor excuse.
yeah.
This to me is more about making more money and fleecing the
Oh
customer
God, yeah.
than it is about the total the total amount of cards coming in to be graded. Yes, that's a problem. I don't disagree with that. But to shove it off as saying, "Oh well, we've already extended turnaround times." You know, any business worth their salt should be saying, "We're going to do everything we can to get things under control and to increase capacity," which I'm sure PSA wants to do, but they're so behind on everything that it's stupid.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get to the next slide. So, right after he makes this announcement, maybe about a week after or so, it might have been 10 days or so. Now we get this news. It says, which Michelle and I were thinking, okay, well, okay, so someone had the ear of either Nat Turner or Ryan Hoge, and they must have said, "Hey, stupid, you don't want to be doing this because you're going to drive all your customer base away, right? Hey, dum dum, right?" So, so Collectors announces that they're going to invest 200 million into PSA's operation over the next 18 months, which should make everybody a little happier. The massive financial commitment is designed to build a platform that serves both nostalgia of the past and the speed of the future, focused on three core pillars: infrastructure, doubling PSA's physical footprint to process record breaking volume; two, technology, developing and implementing advanced logistics and proprietary tech to enhance speed, accuracy, and tracking; and three, expertise, scaling our workforce and specialized training programs to bring in more world class graders and operators, with 370 current open positions and approximately 700 more positions set to open by the end of 2026. Now, hang on a second. Let me just throw this out there. How in the hell do they still have 370 current openings? Shouldn't they have been going like all out and trying to say there's probably, my guess is the reason why they have 370 openings is because they're not willing to pay those people. That would be my guess. Because you can't tell me if someone said to you, Michelle, come work for PSA. How much were you making at the place you're working now? How much you making there? And you say like, I don't know, 70,000 or something. We'll give you 100,000, or 80,000 or something like that. And we'll give you bonuses like, depending on how much, some physical gift or reward for doing a good job, right? You'd have you'd have 10,000 people knocking on their door tomorrow saying, "Hey, I want to be a grader." I mean, this is I don't understand any of this. It's so foolish.
Yeah, I mean, this should have been the first step, not the, oh my God, backtrack, backtrack, backtrack. Okay, now I'm going to get somebody to invest. I'm going to make sure we invest in these things. Well, that should have been your first thought, not your, oh crap, that didn't work thought.
Yeah,
I,
or
you
or
know,
or my 10th thought.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
yeah,
It's just so bad. I mean, and this should have been the footprint all along.
right.
And this is, folks, this is why companies have forecasting tools. They look and see, they forecast out. If you worked in any company that's, got marketing, a marketing group or whatever working for them, they use forecasting tools all the time. And they're looking to see, evolving sales over 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, 10 years, whatever. And based on current economic conditions and things like that, they do this all the time. So you can't tell me that PSA doesn't have a marketing or or let's say a type of a marketing strategy division that looks at this stuff almost every single minute of the day. I find that hard to believe that a company that's worth, let's say, probably well, if it's not in the millions, it's certainly in the billions, right? Of scale, that they wouldn't understand this. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, but their actions make it very likely that they didn't invest in that. You know,
Right.
I don't get it. I
Well,
just
and
don't get it.
you
It's
know,
not a good way to run your business. You need to be looking for the future, predicting out, trying to meet your needs and fill gaps prior to them becoming gaps. I mean, but with 370 current openings, and they're going to create another 700 openings, there's no one to say that they're going to be able to fill them.
right.
You
You're
know,
talking
I mean,
over.
because you haven't gone out and done the work to fill the positions that you already had. So that's a great idea, is to open up more openings, but now you got to get people to come to you.
Well,
You know,
well, and look.
hey, I don't live in California, or maybe I'd be thinking about coming out of retirement
Well,
to.
yeah, but I mean, it reeks of, it smells sour here that they have 370 current open positions. Now, last time I checked, this economy wasn't doing all that well, and I know there's a lot of um, household debt out there, almost I think a little over eighteen trillion dollars worth of household debt. And I would just say that there's got to be a reason why those 370 positions are open. And I'm thinking it's got something to do with salary and or any, let's say, I don't know about things like healthcare or 401k or bonuses or anything like that. But if I was running a company like this, I'm just going to tell you this right now. If I was running a company like this and I saw where this was going, and don't tell me for 1 second that Nat Turner or Ryan Hoge didn't know that this was going on. I would have been so far ahead of this, ahead of the curve, that there wouldn't have been a bump in the road, and I would have paid my guys whatever it took to get in there. Now, what I expect when I pay you that salary
It's quality,
is quality, and
dedication,
and
hard
it isn't
work.
so much about quantity either. Now, I just want to go on and say that I would rather see somebody do, let's say, I don't know how many cars they process in one day, let's say a particular grader, but you have to make sure that the quality standard is there. what good is a grader that does 1,000 cards if he blows it on like
$100.
a hundred out of those thousand. So in other words, either he missed he gave a card a lower grade that shouldn't have got a lower grade, or he gave a card a higher grade that shouldn't have got a higher grade, right? Something like that. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on these guys. I'm sure there is. But if you're Nat Turner or you're Ryan Hoge, you should be hands on at that facility every single day. They should see you like they have their morning coffee every single day out there. And you should engage with all of those people. You should say, okay, what can I do better for you? How can I help you do your job better? What what things do you need? And obviously they need people, right? That's the number one thing. And you need proper people to train them. So I just thought that this kind of
Crazy.
says it all here.
Yep.
Let's get to the next slide. All right. Sorry, folks. We're closed. We're closed. So the they went on to say trading card leader and professional sports authenticator has paused, 4 service levels due to an overwhelming backlog of submissions. The company announced Thursday. Effective June 2nd, PSA is pausing value bulk, value plus, and value max. Now they do have a few higher levels open, but if you want to pay $75 or whatever, $100 or something like that, or whatever the expedited totals are, it's so stupid. Uh, Submission tiers will reopen based on operational milestones with a target of reducing the backlog from 10 million cards to 5 million cards. How did this happen? PSA projects it'll take up to 4 months to reach a threshold. And by the way, this information that you see right here came out of the Wall Street Journal, right here. I took it out of there yesterday. I copied it and then pasted it in here, just so you guys could see, updated information. About 2.5 million cards have been submitted. This is an update from 6/1. About 2.5 million cards have been submitted since PSA announced the pause because the deadline was the second, and they said, and another million submissions are expected before Tuesday's deadline. This ex, this expected to ex, this is expected to extend the pause by another month or two, and I'd be willing to bet it could be more
Longer
like
than
3.
that.
Right.
Yep.
So you're talking, instead of 4 months, now you're talking 6, maybe 7, and you got limited ways to send your cards in. If you want to pay
Crazy.
crazy, well, over the top, ridiculous
Yep.
money for a $500 card or a $250 value card, be my guest.
Yeah.
But guess what? I wouldn't do it, and you shouldn't either.
Nope.
So the company plans to publish this is what the company's going to do right now. They plan to publish a backlog tracker so customers can see progress in real time. PSA also announced extensions to current collector club memberships, which makes sense. If you have a year membership and you can't use it for 6 months, I would hope that they're going to extend that.
Right.
That makes total sense, which gives customers access to value bulk grading tier. Each membership active on May 14th will be extended free of charge for the full duration of the tier service pause, and rightly so. Rightly so. Otherwise they're going to be showing up at PSA with torches and pitchforks saying, "Hey,"
and the lawsuits will tumble right after it.
"Where's Nat Turner?" So
Yeah.
we can hang him.
Yep.
Thursday, and Ryan Host too, by the way. Thursday's decision to pause popular service tiers follows PSA's parent company's collector's announcement of a $200 million investment for the grader earlier this month. The money will be used to expand operations over the next 18 months, with plans to double the company's physical footprint and add more than 1,000 new hires. Double the company's physical footprint by coming up with a bigger building, adding on to the buildings and so on. I mean, they should have been doing this all along. It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's all bass backwards.
Right. Okay. So now we get questions to ponder. things that make you go, what would be the answer to that, right? So let's get into them, okay? And the first one is, why the sudden change in philosophy at PSA? In other words, when they said they were just going to extend out times and keep the times the same and then raise the prices, if over the next 10 days they decided to reverse course. So what was the sudden change? And my guess is,
Someone said, "Hey, dum dum."
right, or right, there was board members probably,
Yeah.
that were in that boardroom and said, hey, stupid, you know, it, you're sacrificing our profit margins here,
Right.
and you better reverse course and you better do it fast. Otherwise, we're gonna get rid of Nat Turner and we're gonna get rid of Ryan Hoge. We're gonna fire you guys for your incompetence. I think that's the main reason here, and I would be, I would like to be a fly on the wall and listen to some of the conversations going on there right now because I'm sure it's chaotic at the very least. Second one here is, what is the overall debt situation at the company? Why was this a stumbling block? Now, in order to understand that, we need to have public information on PSA as a company. And since they've been taken private, like Fanatics, we have no real way to know if they're in a lot of debt, a little bit of debt, or a ton of debt. They might not be in any debt, but it's unlikely because with the purchases of Card Ladder, with the purchase of SGC, with the purchase of Beckett, I would think there's a fair amount of debt going on right now. And I think this part of this was in the equation initially when they decided to uh, go with just raising the prices, hoping to basically cap the amount of submissions coming in. They were thinking, okay, if we keep raising them to, like, let's say, well, I'm using this as a euphemism, but let's say let's say you raise it to like $500. Well, obviously it's gonna slow down, the overall enthusiasm for getting your cards graded, right? You're gonna say, oh, I'm not gonna do that, and then so you basically, kneecap any total submissions or any surging submission coming into your company. And so I think part of this was, I think they're in debt. I can't tell you how much because I don't know, and I don't think the only person that's going to be able to tell me that, well, the only two people I can think of to tell me that are going to be Nat Turner and Ryan Hoge, and they're not talking. Okay, so my guess is they're in debt. How much I don't know, and I think that played into it. But I think it kind of superseded with the situation the way it is. Um, I think this particular situation was superseded by the total mass surge in overall submissions to the company. Okay, and then we go to this one, number three, right here. Are they tapping into private equity financing to fund this expansion? That's a really good question. Now, I wouldn't say private financing is a bad thing, private equity financing, but if it's not coming from public sources, again, we have no idea how much money they're actually borrowing, and that could really play into this going forward. And that's why, and I think part of the raising the price, not only was that a way to try to, you know, knock down the amount of cards being submitted to PSA, but as a way to really drive more revenue for them. What are the implications for PSA going forward, and also for other grading companies like SGC and Beckett? Now, I think that this is an easy one here to me, because if PSA has obviously halted most of their tiers for grading, then it's going to be a windfall for SGC and Beckett. Has to be. And I think what you're going to see here, and maybe this was part of the equation when, let's say, Hoge and the board members and Nat Turner were all, huddling up, having a kumbaya moment. Uh, that they probably said, well, geez, we really need to prop up these other two grading companies because we bought them and we have a lot of money into them. So we got to get our money out of them. We got to get we got to start driving these up. So it was an honest envelope way of doing that. When you shut down most of your tiers, well, they got to go somewhere, and it'll be cheaper as well, most likely. So SGC and Beckett, they're definitely going to benefit from this. How much? I don't know. We'll see in a month or 2 or 3, but definitely they're going to benefit from this. And you know who benefits from it all? PSA, right? So yeah, so they shut down grading on one end on one of their companies, but the other two they hope will pick up the slack and add more submissions to those companies further down the road. And the next one is should PSA continue to leverage upcharges for their higher end graded market? And if so, why are they using comps from Card Ladder instead of their own price guide? Now this one I've been wondering about for a while, and I don't hear anybody bring this up. But when PSA says they're going to upcharge somebody, let's say you had a Mickey Mantle card, and let's say that Mickey Mantle card you thought was going to grade out a 7, all right? And in the let's say it's a 65-7, and that in a 65-7, let's say it's I don't have a price guide in front of me, so let's say that the card is going to come out as a in PSA price guide, it's going to be worth $800. But they go to Card Ladder and they say, okay, well, I just saw one sell for $900 or $1,000. So when they grade it and it does come out a 7, they say, well, you you didn't you didn't send us the right amount for this card, so we're going to upcharge you, whether it comes out a 7 or a 7.5 or whatever, an 8. We're going to upcharge you, but we're not going to upcharge you based on our own price guide. We're going to upcharge you based on the comps that are out there right now. Now, PSA owns Card Ladder, but they should be at least considering their own price guide, seeing that it's been around forever and they update it all the time. So why isn't PSA using their they should be using their price guide. And if they don't trust their price guide, then should anybody else? Because I mean, in the old days, that's what everybody went by. You looked at what, generally speaking, the card was worth in a certain grade. I would look at my cards. I would say, okay, under a 10x loop, I'd say, okay, the corners look good. The surface is good. I don't see any dings or printing flaws or off centering. The card looks pretty good. It should grade out. Based on the surface and the borders, should grade out. Let's say a 7 or a 7.5 or an 8. And I can tell you right now that most of the time I was wrong. I'd had cards that I thought were going to be an 8 came out a 9. I thought cards that were going to be a 9 came out an 8. I thought some cards that was going to grade a 7 was a 7.5. Another card 6.5. So I can only go as far as a loop takes me under magnification. But I've always wondered this, like how do you arrive at that grade? And yes, I know they have stringent, probably higher magnification um, levers that they use. But to me, this sticks in my craw, because if you're gonna have a price guide, you're gonna update that price guide. You should go by that price guide. End of story. Okay, now, and again, will they refer to the price guide if the recent comps are lower for convenient increased upcharges? For convenient increased upcharges, and that's the point I was just making. If you're gonna, if if the comp, let's say the comp comes out at 500, but in the PSA price guide it's 700, which value do you think PSA is going to take? I'll bet you it's going to be off their price guide. So again, there needs to be consistency here, and it needs to be across the board. And so you're either going to use one platform or you're going to use the other. And if you're not using your own price guide, then my suggestion to you is that you start using your price guide and update that on a daily basis if that needs to be done. And if you need to hire 10 more people to do that, then that's what you should do. End of story. And what's the end game here? Well, that's a good question. It's a really good question. And just going to stop right here for a moment. And we're going to run. I want to run this by the first lady of baseball here.
I'll try to keep it short, folks.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Let's get back here for a second because I just want to stop right here so everybody can.
He does this to me. Now, note that he hasn't asked me these questions ahead of time.
Right.
This is just
All right. Let me just lay this out for you. I want to lay this out for you. You have a company that's made 3 acquisitions: Card Ladder, SGC, and Beckett, along with their own PSA. So you got 4 companies under their umbrella. This is a company that's expanding. They're expanding their footprint. They're hiring more people with the sole purpose of, I would think in the long run, increasing their profit margins, growing their business, not only for PSA, but for the other 2 grading companies, as well as Card Ladder, which is like $20 a month. If I said to you, will Nat Turner and Ryan Hoge still be a part of this company in 10 years? Or do you think that in 10 years, Nat Turner and Ryan Hoge and some of these other people, these other board members, are going to sell the company? Do you think their ulterior motive here is that they're setting the company up, they're building it up so they can sell and take the windfall? Or are they in it for the long term? Are they in it for 10, 20 years before they finally decide to sell the company?
no. It looks like they're definitely in this to let's patchwork it together and let's get it looking better than it is, and sell, get out from under it, and take the money and run. That's how it looks to me, because it doesn't look like they have, in my opinion only, that's how we go. It doesn't look like they have the smarts, the desire to do things the right way. And I think they got in over their heads a bit, and they need to like cut and run and get rid of the company. Hopefully someone will snap it up that knows how to run a company and do it well, because the hobby is the ultimate loser here if they don't get their act together. And I that's just my opinion.
Okay, let me throw this second question out at you, and then we'll get back to the video. But I want to throw this one out at you too. Do you think, in your opinion, that part of what's going on here with PSA is to drive more customers toward SGC and Beckett? And if that's the case, and they build those companies' reputation up to be a more profitable company, do you think it's a possibility that they spin those companies off as opposed to selling all 3 or 4 entities that they own right now together?
Yeah, absolutely, because by shutting, like you said before, they shut down this part, and you can still go to CSG and Beckett, so there's still an outlet, so you're building them up while you're slowing this one down.
Right.
And then, okay, so we can break off this little piece and we can break off that little piece, and let's get back to just doing sports. And maybe, Beckett becomes the Pokemon, or, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they splinter them. And, maybe these guys really were into, I don't know. So maybe they really were into the sports thing. And all this other stuff has like overwhelmed them. So they didn't expect it. And maybe that's what they're doing, is building up the other two, and then we'll kind of like split off the different markets.
Well, it's certainly a
And then,
possibility.
oh yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I mean,
That's
I
that
that's
that would actually make a little bit of sense to actually do that. But who knows? It's all
well,
speculation on our part.
yeah. It just crossed my mind when I was thinking about driving more customers toward those two companies. That let's say you get up to a high, a company like let's say Beckett is you raise their earnings up by 100, 200, 300%. You increase the volume every year of submissions coming in there. Um,
Then they can do a reorg
well,
if
that
they
and
want.
that, or they could say, well, we're going to spin one of these off, take the windfall, right? You can put it if they want to put it into, let's say, PSA, and still have their core business.
Yeah.
They could just do that, and then but I just don't understand, first of all, why they did it, other than if their motive was to build those companies up and either sell all of them together, or once they're built up to a very profitable margin, at least in some other business investors' mind, then they might be able to sell one or both of those off to other investors. So yeah, I so those questions to me, kind of
Mm-hmm.
hit home, and knowing Nat Turner and knowing where he's come from, and I get it. Both those guys are collectors too, but ultimately, at some point, either Nat Turner or Ryan Hoge or both of them are going to step down or step away. I think Hoge is young enough. I'm not sure about Turner or how long he wants to do this, because he's the CEO. But if he keeps going, then for a while, then he may sit on the board, but he may no longer be CEO.
Yep.
So anyway, just wanted to kind of hash it over with you, so see what you thought about that. All right, let's finish up this. We got one more slide, and then we'll get to the second half. No, hang on.
Of the break.
Yeah, let's get back here. 1 second. Boom. All right, hang on. Let's. Okay. Transition in. All right. Okay. So let's get to the last slide here. We'll start the current slide. Get to the last one here. This is just in conclusion. So I think it's fair to say that the vast majority of sports card collectors enjoy the ability to buy a PSA card sight unseen, and have confidence, for the most part, that their purchase will live up to the expectations when it comes to the overall standards and qualifications of that process. There are, however, bigger issues at hand here. This is a company that continues to increase prices across all tiers, as well as extended turnaround times with a focus on the higher end graded card market. This creates real problems for the low end collector and for those simply looking to reholder damaged cases. It also eliminates the desire to grade common cards with respect to set builders. One only needs to reference the vintage set market or many of the modern subsets to understand what I'm referring to. For PSA, this essentially wipes out what has been a pretty reliable source of income for the company, and with the message that they're sending: we don't want your low end submissions. Imagine going to a longtime bakery or restaurant in your local area and finding out that they no longer make your favorite donut or offer that staple menu choice you always look forward to. It's sure to have customer blowback and immediate and unforeseen revenue loss. Smart businesses with longevity have known this for decades, and perhaps, in time, PSA will realize this too. There's always the ability to circle back and correct the missteps going forward. but the window is finite, and with it, the ability to recapture those lost revenues and customer loyalty. And the countdown has begun. So this is something that we didn't really talk about, but um, basically, if you're a set collector, and I used to see this all the time in the early 2000s, that a lot of it's a lot of people would send in card submissions for like 67 commons or 73 commons or 55 commons or 1970 commons. That that's been going on since the dawn of time, ladies and gentlemen. And I can tell you that uh, unfortunately, unfortunately, PSA hasn't got the memo on this. If you have a guy that's submitting, or a group of people that are submitting a number of, let's say, sevens or eights, for like for set builders out there, then you want to give them an avenue to to for comments to lay that out, to be able to submit those, because that's a cash cow for PSA and for anybody else for that matter that wants to do it. And it seems a little naive and short sighted for me to say that these. I'm not sure what the thought process was at PSA on this, because they should always have that tier. Now, I'm not talking about these monthly specials or quarterly specials or whatever you want, but they should have a common tier. Doesn't matter what you're submitting, for like, let's say, up to like $100 cards, something like that. It's it's low dollar stuff, but people out there, I mean, look, I sell stuff to guys all the time that are building sets. I sold 67s the other day. I sold 66s, 65, 68, 70, 73, 75, 76. It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to tell everybody here is that those cards are in demand, and PSA should understand that. And if they don't, then shame on them, because they're throwing away an opportunity here, in my opinion, to take advantage and keep taking advantage of submitters that are constantly sending those cards in. Maybe not as much as they did in earlier years, only because of the fact that there aren't that there. In the old days, there was a lot of stuff that hadn't been graded, stuff that they were finding in collections, and people, like Four Sharp Corners, I can remember, used to submit all kinds of stuff, thousands of cards. They were like a constant one of their biggest customers at PSA for a long time. And so those guys were constantly, they take vending boxes of like 72s, and they would simply send the whole vending box to PSA, and they'd grade them all, and a lot of them come out eights or sevens or 8.5s or whatever. Some would come out nines, maybe a few tens, who knows. But they would send the whole vending box out. Those days are gone. You're not going to find vending boxes anymore. They're very rare. So the idea that you're getting a lot of influx of uh, of common cards being submitted these days is probably low, but they're still out there, and you still find them, and people still want to do it. So why cut your leg off and not allow people to do that at a lower level, a lower price level? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's just the one thought I had on that. And because I know I'm speaking for a lot of people, and myself too, by the way. I'm a collector, and I'm building a 72 set, and I'm about, I don't know, 40%, 45% of the way done. So I'm always looking for common 72s, I mean, and depending on the price of those cards, I either buy them or I don't, depending on what I can afford. So anyway, we're going to leave it right there. Hope you enjoyed that. Now we're going to get to the last three boxes here, hanger boxes of 2022 Heritage. All right.
See if we can get a little bit more
Yeah,
excitement.
Usually we
Get
do
those
okay,
Two rookies. That's about it.
Yeah, a couple rookies, but maybe at least try to get a a refractor or something like that, or
Yep.
You know, a variation card that would be nice, or even a black. I'll take a black. You know, I'm not picky. Autographs are good. Relics are good. It's all good. But yeah, I mean,
Even though we're just giving it away.
we're giving it all away. You heard me earlier in the video say that, and that's 100% of the time true in every single video that we have here. Every single one. You just got to find us, and we're not going to tell you what we pull in those videos, so you're going to have to go look.
And we've pulled some really good stuff.
Oh my God, yes.
Especially some of the earlier videos.
All right, first
But
card.
anyway.
Rysel Glacis. Jeremy Candelario. Patrick Wisdom. Gavin
Smart
Lux.
guy.
Huh?
Smart guy.
Smart guy, right? Mike Miner. Oop. Ryan McMahon. Got a little off camera there. Chris Bassett. And followed up by Dustin Garneau. And Ryan Jeffers. He's a good player from Minnesota. I think people really don't pay attention to him, but for a catcher, I shouldn't say that he's a catcher. As a player, he's a really good player. His power numbers are up this year. He's a solid player from Minnesota. Kevin Newman, followed by Lance McCullers, who was hurt for about, I don't know, the last 3 years until this year. He finally came back. Josh Naylor, classy guy. Kenley Jansen, Garcia, and Danby Swanson. Who else we got here? Let's see. Corey Dickerson, Ryan Presley, Romy Gonzalez. There's our boy. He's getting ready to come back here. He's on the way back. Colton Welker, Tommy Edman, Dodger hero there in the World Series. Had some big hits for them. Cedric Mullins, still going strong for Tampa. CJ Cron. Rodolfo Castro, rookie. Yeah, Victor Robles, still playing for Seattle. Pete Alonso, the polar bear. He had a big home run against us the other day. Pavin Smith, Jose Siri, New Age performers. So not much in this one looks like that. Roughnet Odor, Joey Wendell, and Zach McKinstry. Rich Hill, he's part of the Red Sox post-game analysis from time to time. I like him. He's a good pitcher, too. And there's Mike Trout.
Oh, look at that.
Little bugger. Little bugger. Ian Henio Suarez. Last two here. Justin Verlander. Surefire Hall of Famer. And Willie Castro. So that was a dud, Dad.
Womp, womp,
womp. Okay, let's give them another shot here. Got two
more
chances.
Womp, womp. If you're like a Mike Trout fan that might want that card, you know, you never know who's gonna want what, you know. But if you take a look at the openings, you never know. I mean, just emotional attachment to a player could mean a lot.
Hey, if you're a young collector and you're looking to put sets together, this is a perfect one for you. You know? And like I said, I mean, we're not done yet, so there's a good chance we could pull something decent out of here. The odds are thin in this particular year of Heritage, but you know, we pulled good stuff before out of here. No problem.
Yep.
I mean, we had that one box there. We got two autographs out of there. Holy cow, that was pretty good. I know, it's amazing. Oh no, two and two hangers. I think that's what we got. Yeah, that's what it was. Right. But we got I think, geez, that was a great. I can't remember which one that was, but we got that. We got the relic. It was fantastic. Buster Posey and home run leaders. It's Vlad, Savvy. I mean, 48 home runs. It's pretty good for a catcher. That's Cal Raleigh numbers for 1 year. Savvy's been doing it for a long time. Hoy Park and Elvis Andrews, Jordan, Sandy Alcantara. Looking good. Yeah, it's Griffin Jack's rookie. Take that. Good pitcher. Closer. They made him into they've been at Tampa Bay. They made him into a starter now. Converted him, at least temporarily anyway. Yasmandi Grandal, Jesse Winker, Dylan Carson. Oh, looks like it's a little off center there, huh? Look at that. It's not very centered.
That's crazy.
This one's bad too. Look.
Why is the cup on that one?
Oh, is the best defensive player
Gotcha.
at every position. Yeah.
Okay.
Jake Fraley, Lucas Giolito. See, look at it, they're all off center.
I was gonna say a lot of these look real like that one.
Yeah.
Gio's
Gio
that's
Urshela.
horrible.
Yeah. Look at them, they're all off.
I
Robbie
wonder if
Ray.
that's
Got a bum box here.
mm-hmm.
Mandegal, Dalton Varsho, Kevin Biggio, Kyle Hendricks.
There was a better one. There
we
we
go. Now we're back.
Back to being centered.
Odubel Herrera. He was a good player for a while. Zach Wheeler pitched a gem against us when we played him in
Yeah, he did.
Philadelphia. Holy cow. Wow. Adrian Hauser. Miguel Sano. Brad Miller. Justin Turner. JT. There he is. Alec Mills and Lamont Wade. And New Age Performers again. Shane Baz. Man, we're just striking out here. Dallas Keuchel. Jacob DeGrom. Moalitas. Runs batted in. Just shows you how good Duvall was when he was playing. You know, people forget about these guys, but they really are good players. And they had, you know, maybe not stellar careers their whole time, but they were good for parts of their careers. Gavin Sheets, rookie. Dustin May. Garrett Cole, just returned. Back in the fold. Lane Thomas. And Mason Thompson finishes up that one. All right, 5 down, 1 to go. This has got to be the lucky one, right, Mama?
That's right.
All right.
Gotta be.
Gotta be.
Gotta be.
Has to be. Let's see here. Bring you open. By the way, when I bought these, like all the stuff I've got here, I bought a lot of it on eBay, but I bought it from all different people too. So the likelihood of getting, you know, rookies autographs and that type of stuff is pretty good. Although this guy shouldn't have taped the top of this.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, because he wanted to have that down.
Oh, right.
The tab down. I'm like, really? Yeah, it's taking this tab right here and he got tape on it. I'm like, really? Come on, man. Come on, man.
I knew that was coming. Anyone who's watched the video knew that was coming.
Come on, man. Get it together. All right, last one. Boom. Let's see what is going to happen with this one. If I can get it open. There we go. Finally.
Wow.
All right. Oh, we got a rookie card here. Let's see what's on this one. Anybody of any consequence? Looks like Glenn Otto's not a bad player. The rest of those guys I do not. Donnier Green and Austin Warren. Yeah, I don't recognize those names, but Glenn Otto, he's one guy. He's okay. Glenn Plisek. I wonder if that's Dan's kid. Zach Plisek, excuse me. I call him Dan. I think I did. Jed Lowry, Oakland A's. Now the manager of the Oakland A's.
Crazy.
I know.
Played for the Sea Dogs, didn't he? I think he did.
Oh, maybe.
I think
yeah,
he did.
Probably. Jacob Stallings, Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Peralta. Now with the Mets. Here's IKA again. Here we go. Luplow. We've seen these guys. Yuri Gurriel. We haven't seen him. And there's Luis here, rookie. That's a good one. Put that over there. Austin Kelly, Randy Rosarina, Yoshi Tsuzuku. Connor Wong, rookie.
There you go.
Yep. Tyler Glasnow, Strasburg, Peralta, and Matt Verling, rookie. He's been a pretty good player for the Mets. Wilmer Flores, JD Martinez. And he had 3 or 4 really good years with us. He's great. Good hitter, solid hitter, contact hitter. Didn't strike out a ton. Adolis Garcia got a hole in his bat. Alberto Mondesi, always hurt. Anthony DiScafani and Devin Williams, who's sometimes good, sometimes bad closer. Brandon Woodruff, Didi Gregorius, and another flashback. Ron Bloomberg, first designated hitter in the MLB. Huh.
Hmm.
Look at that. Yankees.
Did not know that.
Yeah, Ron Bloomberg. Yeah. Good player. You know, utility guy, played all over the place. Josh Harrison. Liam Hendricks coming down the end here, folks. Xander Bogaerts, Josh Lowe, Robbie Grossman, Brian Reynolds, Christian Walker, Yanni Hernandez is the final card. Well, we didn't do a whole lot here. We got a few rookies for you. We got Heel and Griffin Jacks, Brandon Marsh, and Cal Raleigh. We got those.
And a few other lesser.
Yeah, some few of the lesser
Rookies.
guys. But hey, we tried anyway. We got 6. So again, if you want these, leave a comment with the word drawing, and once we get 10 people, we'll draw them up. Pick 2 names out of here. We appreciate you guys stopping by and joining along with us for this video, and we're going to leave it right here. So until next time, we will see you later. So long.
Bye.